And so that's one area that I have learned, especially with our youngest, because she wants to help all the time. Right. It's like, okay, so let me just think about it. Because generally I'm like, no, I got this. Let me just think about it. Let me think what you can do. And then even if it's just pouring something in the mixing bowl, get up on, she feels cool that she's up on the counter and she gets to pour it in. And then she's actually pretty efficient because Dad's actually better at letting the kids help with a lot of the stuff.
John too.
Yeah, and so, but I think if you have kids, young kids, generally you are going to do more for them, but do teach them because it does pay off in the end.
And even little things, because like another thing that I wrote down was like even when you're changing them, and they can learn this, I don't know, when they start walking.
Yeah.
Probably.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy. A life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, one cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
And then too, like, you could put on music. You can.
When my kids are gone and I'm the only one in the house cleaning, I'll put my music on.
Yeah, so when I hit my kitchen, or if I'm preparing like Thursday and Friday for Friday night, I'll tell my kids, okay, I'm putting my stories on. I put my audiobook on, whatever one I'm listening to. I'm going to be in the kitchen cleaning. Like, if you really don't need me, like, just let me.
Whenever we were teenagers, Jared and I would do that too. We had our MP3s and we would listen to music or stories while we were doing our chores.
Yeah, and then our 12-year-old, he'll say too,
stories.
Can I listen to the radio? Can I listen to, he has CDs and things like that, stories. And that helps him stay focused. And then you're not thinking like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And as before you know it, you're done.
Yeah.
And so there's ways, turn on your TV if you have a TV and listen to that in the background. Don't sit down and watch it, but listen to it in the background.
Right.
But yeah, there's lots of ways to motivate you. Have fun. And if you do it by yourself, you can blast the music or blast your story.
That's how I am whenever everybody's gone.
Yeah, but just start. And it feels good when you start it and then you see it accomplished. Even though you know your kitchen's going to get dirty again.
Yes.
You accomplished and you did it. So do you use any like popular cleaning organizational methods? We kind of talked about this. I guess there's like, I've heard of like this 5x5 method. You do 5 things in 5 minutes, or you go to one room and you clean 5 things or something like that. I don't know the method really good, but
no, just clean. Like, I have my days that I do certain things, and I don't think I could be like 5 minutes do this and 5 minutes do that or whatever. I'm just like, this is what I have to accomplish, and I'm going to get it done and do the best I can.
Right.
And if I didn't get all the way done, it'll go into the next day, and I'll try to finish it the next day. Like, especially like laundry. Like, obviously I wash it all in one day. Every now and then, if I started late, if we had an appointment early in the morning and I started late, then like maybe I'll have to wash one load the next day. But usually it doesn't all get put away Monday. So then like it'll go into Tuesday. Sometimes Wednesday. It just depends on how busy the days are.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I mean, like my Monday wash probably won't get put away either. Maybe not even today.
Right.
But generally I would do it today. Put it away today.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, so do you have problem areas in your house, and then how do you tackle them?
So like I said, I don't like doing the bathrooms. And like John's mom said, just do it.
Right.
So it sounds gross probably to some people. Like, I think, because before we would clean it multiple times a week, but I probably try to clean the bathroom once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like, letting it all just go to shambles.
Right, you're tidying up.
Like, if, like you said, if there's toothpaste, like, especially with the kids,
right.
we just all use the same bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's just easier for them, whenever they're older, they can, like, probably
right.
use the other one. But whenever they spit, their toothpaste out, it can get on the sink, and then then I wipe it off. I'm not going to just let that sit there.
Right.
But, and then, like, just tidying up in the bathroom, taking out the trash. So it's not like I'm just letting it go.
Right.
But then, like, once a week I'll do the actual taking everything off the counter, wiping down the mirrors,
right.
etc. All of that. And then with my husband's things, because a lot of people asked me this, because, you can clean and your husband might have a whole different idea.
Right.
So what I do with John's stuff is, if I don't know where it goes, I just collect everything. And we used to have, like, a basket on our dresser, and I would just put it all in there. The basket's no longer there, but I have a pile on the dresser, and I'll just put whatever it is, random screws, random whatever,
right.
just anything like that, like, because sometimes that comes out in the washer, or you just find it, and I don't know where it goes, so I just put it there, and then once the pile gets, like, where I'm just like, this is getting too much, like, I'll ask him, can you go through it and put things away? So, like, at least I have a spot for stuff that I don't know,
right, and
I usually can put away anything else that I do know where it goes.
And I think that's, like, a respectful way to do it, because, I've done similar with Dad, but I found if it's in a basket, it just is out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And so, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he has, like, kind of this section of the counter.
Yeah.
And so that's where he notices things.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's something that I know that he needs to notice, then I'll try to put it there. If we have company coming, I'll put it on his dresser. Mm-hmm. That's just his go. Like, I'll put it on your dresser. It's on your dresser. You can't find it's on your dresser.
Yep.
And I usually don't tidy his dresser, simply because he has stuff there that if I move it, he's not going to find it.
Right.
And so he can be very organized, but he's also one of those that you look at his desk or you look at his area, and it's, to some people's mind, it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But
he knows where everything is.
Pretty much. And so I've asked him sometimes, do you want me to organize your dresser? Do you want me to do, like, the drawers are organized, but, like, the top, that's his place to put everything. Because him and I are very different. Yeah. Like, I don't go in his garage and mess around with the garage. But we just have different styles and organizing and stuff like that. But I think that's a respectful way.
I've organized John's stuff. There's, like, probably, like, a couple of drawers in the dresser. Because we kind of share our dressers and stuff too. Right. So certain drawers are his. But I've organized that. And obviously it doesn't stay organized forever, but I'll just go through every now and then and just organize it. Mm-hmm. And he appreciates it. Right. Like, obviously every person's different. So, just respecting their boundaries. But yeah. So
Dad respects that. I mean, he appreciates because his closet is sort of color coordinated, and, like, his work clothes are in one area, his church shirts are in one area. Like, it's organized. Yeah. And I'm the one putting away his clothes, so right. But we just went through his clothes, because he's not one to really get rid of stuff. And I was like, I don't have room to put away your clothes. Yeah. And so he went with me. Well, like, we were in the room together, and he was able to go through. And I said, I found this new way. We might have to fit more in if we fold it this way. But I'm the one who puts away his clothes. Mm-hmm. So
I put away John's clothes too. Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense because they're working. And why have them do it when they come home? Right. And so he appreciates that. He can find his stuff easy. Yeah. That when he gets up early in the morning, he can just go find whatever he needs. There's certain areas that I just know too. Like, okay, if you're going to cook, it's going to be messy or whatever. Right. But it's like, you know what? He helps, like, for the fellowship. He helps cook, and he cooks. He gets lots of compliments. And so... I'll clean. Yeah. But speaking of John's mom, I know when you guys were recording, he would come over a lot for dinner. Yeah. And so he would always offer to help. And
we do this now, not so much, but when we had all the kids, right after you eat, he was like, my mom would always, "You always sweep the floor," and I had a different time that I would sweep the floor.
Right.
But I'm like, why didn't I? That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And so now, after we eat, we try to sweep the floor. So it's funny, like, I implement something from John, from his mom. But okay, so having kids and being organized, because it's one thing to be single or to be married and be organized, because that's, you know, easier. But once you have kids, especially little kids, what are your tips on having kids and staying organized?
I know everybody's different too, because some people don't like doing everything for them, and I just know, like, we're in that stage. Not that I do everything for them, but to me, I'm like, if it's more of a battle to get them to do something, I'm just going to do it because it needs to be done. But we have like a playroom right now, and I don't know if we'll have a playroom when the baby comes.
Right.
But it has helped out a lot, because like if people come over, or if you just are like, let's go to bed, you don't have to worry about cleaning it at the end of the day, and you don't have to be walking over toys. But I have like one of those little cube shelves, and in each bin it has, you know, it's organized, like one's Legos, one's blocks, one's Barbies, cars, etc.
Right.
And you know, when they're little, they don't know exactly where everything is at first, but they catch on really quick, because like Natalie's gonna be 4, and I feel like she's known where everything goes for a year or 2.
Yeah, she knows. Because when I've gone in there and tried to help, like when we're over there, and I go in there, because I don't like to have my kids over that somebody messes up someone else's house, so I go in there and I try to help them too sometimes. And I'll be putting, I'm like, where does this go?
Yeah.
The girls know. They can tell.
Sometimes they've told other kids too, like, that's not where that goes. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because even some ladies have helped, like, after a fellowship, and they've put things, like, in the wrong bins, and I tell them it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'll organize it later.
Yeah.
Or I just say, you don't have to worry about cleaning, like, because I want to put them wherever it goes. But that always helps, because I know exactly where it goes. And what has helped recently, because they like stories too, and I just got them a little CD player and put it in their room.
Right.
And so I put the stories on while they clean, and I say, if you're not going to clean, I'm going to turn the story off.
Yeah.
And one kid cleans better than the other. One will clean for a little bit and then start playing.
Yeah.
And so then I have to go in there and remind them. So, because I don't want to sit in there the whole time and watch them.
Right.
But I also know, like, you know, that one kid can also teach the other kid. But, and just having them put things back when they're done with it. Like, when they're done playing with Play-Doh, they have to clean it up.
Right.
Put it back where it goes before they do something else. And obviously, if they leave Play-Doh out, it's going to dry out. But just teaching them, when you're done with something, you put it back. And obviously, the playroom's different, because that's just all toys. But, like, the stuff that's not in the playroom, you know, when they read books, we have that organized. And they don't know exactly how it's organized, you know.
Yeah.
There is certain areas that they know where the books go. Yeah. So I'll tell them, no, you do know where that goes. So you can put it away. But sometimes whenever they're just a little overwhelmed too, I'll just like put all the books on the coffee table, so they'll at least be in a spot, and I'll put them away. Right. So they're organized. Because even one of the cousins that comes over, he really loves books too. And his parents will be like, put them away. I was like, no, don't worry about it. Like, just, he can put them on the coffee table and I'll put them away. Yeah. Because they don't know where I, or how I have them organized. Right. And to me, just doing it, especially since I have stuff organized a certain way. Right. But then, you know, like, eventually, if they're your kids, they learn. Yeah. And eventually Bayla will probably learn. Yeah. Like, pretty quickly where things go. The older they get.
And she's one of those that'll help other kids. Like, no, that doesn't go there. Yeah. Yeah. I know for us, different seasons, we've done different things, but we're one of those that have our kids do more than some people, I guess. I mean, some of our kids came to us older and they didn't really have any kind of those type of life skills. And then, and we always say we make a mess as a family, we clean as a family. And so just because you didn't get such and such out doesn't mean like, okay, somebody else just cleaned up your mess, so just help out and clean up their mess.
Because they'll say that too. But that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Like, well, just still clean it up. I clean up after you. And
I mean, if we just like go out there and like right now, because we just did a quick lunch, there's probably trash outside. The kids ate outside. Right. And so even though so and so didn't leave this out, you know, I'll be like, it's okay, just takes you 5 seconds, bend down and pick it up. And then I'm not as a stickler on their bedrooms anymore. My youngest compared to you, like I was much more strict for you versus my youngest. And so that just kind of probably goes with having a big family.
And then I think it happens even with a smaller family after you have the first compared to the second, and then their personalities.
Right.
And then just more people you have to take care of.
Well, and then too, just
more mess.
Well, certain things I've learned along the way that don't really matter.
Right.
Like it does matter to have a clean room, obviously, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
If you're a messy, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. But like, so our boys share a room, and one of them has cerebral palsy and partial blindness, and so he needs a clear path.
Right.
And so that's kind of like,
that's when I tell them too. Whenever it's all crowded, I'm like, no, we need to clean this up because I'm stepping over everything.
Right. And so it's like, just, you know, my idea of how, you know, until when your kids get older, they develop their own personality, their own style, and it's not going to be your style.
Right.
You know, very like you and me, like, yeah, we probably could share a house.
Right.
But other kids, no.
Right. Yeah.
But so you kind of just have to let them have their space too. But so teaching them young to me like helps. I know some people, like you said, just do everything themselves. But at some point you do have to teach them. And usually when they're young and not that capable of doing so, that's when they want to help you.
Yes.
And so that's one area that I have learned, especially with our youngest, because she wants to help all the time. It's like, okay, so let me just think about it. Because generally I'm like, no, I got this. Let me just think about it. Let me think what you can do. And then even if it's just pouring something in the mixing bowl, get a bunch. She feels cool that she's up on the counter and she gets to pour it in. And then she's actually pretty efficient because Dad's actually better at letting the kids help with a lot of the stuff.
John too.
Yeah. And so, but I think if you have kids, young kids, generally you are going to do more for them, but do teach them because it does pay off in the end.
And even little things, because like another thing that I wrote down was like, even when you're changing them, and they can learn this, I don't know, when they start walking, probably, at least, you know, just, and it doesn't have to be every time, but then like, you know, just teaching them as they get older. But whenever you change them, they can throw away their diaper. Right. But then whenever you change their clothes, you know, you tell them, you put your, instead of just leaving all the stuff on the ground, because then, you know, some people grow up and they're just like that. They just leave everything on the ground. But teaching something small like that,
that's
just putting things back or putting things where they go, you know, then it leaves stuff off the floor too.
Right.
You know,
and I think it's important because they do become, like, I think some people think chores or giving your kids things to do is a negative thing, but it helps them to feel part of the family and to take responsibility for caring for the family.
And sometimes they get excited and will do the other person's clothes and put them in the hamper.
Yeah.
Or put away the shoes of
and
the
like,
other person.
I've sometimes like done games, so I'll give them a wipe, whether it's whatever kind of wipe. You could use paper towel, you could use wet rags, whatever you have. And you don't need to mop your floor, but you got to spot check it. And so I've like, okay, I have this bag of candy. I'm going to set a timer. Whoever can clean the most spots, and generally everybody gets candy anyway, because they all help. So I'm just like,
everybody likes competition.
Right, like everybody gets a candy, you know. And so, and then complimenting them, even if it's not your level of doneness, right? Complimenting them. Oh, you did such a good job. I like working alongside of you. You have such a good servant's heart. You're going to make a good mom. You're going to make a helpful dad, or whatever, husband, wife, you know. Thank you for contributing to the family. That really helped me out. Like, there's so many ways you can compliment your kids and let them know that what they did helped. Yeah. Even though sometimes, in all honesty, it made more work for you. Right. But with the big picture in mind, you know, they're not going to crack an egg right away and put it into the bowl. Nice. It's going to make a mess, right? Yeah. But, you know, and it's okay if you have those times and you're like, I can't have this extra mess. I don't have this extra time. not this time. Next time I cook cookies or whatever, then we can do it together. But yeah, little things, they catch on so fast.
Yeah.
We've done chore charts, we've done that, but nothing's ever stuck good.
Right.
Nothing's ever worked. Just habits. Habits and routines. And then when we start teaching our kids from you all the way down, we don't just say, okay, now it's time to do dishes. Here you go.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of our younger kids watch like everything we do. And so they're learning. I don't remember you and Jared like really watching a lot of stuff. I don't remember.
Right.
but then we'll do like the dishes alongside of you. Hey, watch this. This is how you do it. And you just, and you know it's at a time when you're not crushed for time, and they can get wet, they can make a mess, whatever. You do the bathroom together. You give them, generally I just give them wipes. Start out with the wipes or the wet rag, and you spray it so that they don't get the chemicals all over or whatever stuff you use. And then you just spray this down, and oh my gosh, they're not even cleaning something that really even needs to be cleaned sometimes.
Yeah.
Can you clean the door, or, you know, and they are in there watching you, cleaning alongside of you, getting into your rhythm.
Yeah.
And then whatever it is that you do want to actually step away from one day, you just teach them, and then they're like, okay, now you got it. And like I tell my kids, you don't have to load the dishwasher, for example, the same way I do.
Right.
As long as they get clean.
Yeah.
But if I see them all like jumbled up and piled, then I'm gonna I'm gonna say, hey, lay them out this way or whatever. So as long as you can get the house clean, you don't have to do it my way, but I am gonna teach you my way.
Right.
You know? And then Dad will have his way. Yeah. And then they'll make up their own way as long as it gets done. It gets done. And then and what I found, and I think you will agree, is we don't have a lot of toys.
Right.
We actually have less than you guys.
Yeah.
And for most, if not all my kids, they have done so much better with less toys.
I think every kid does better with less. It's easier to clean. And then they just
get overwhelmed.
Yeah, they do.
Like less clothes, less toys, less shoes, less stuff.
Yes.
Right? Like we are as Americans consumers.
Yeah.
And if you have so many clothes that you got to put away at the end of the day, you're just like, oh my gosh, you know. That's why we do clothes twice a week too, so they're not totally overwhelmed.
Right.
But we'll go through and just like my mom used to take. She would have a bag. She would take like half of our toys, and she would bag them up, put them up somewhere for like 6 months or whatever.
I've heard people doing that.
And then switch them out. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have all these new toys. It's like Christmas in July, right? And I've done that with our youngest. I've actually had to pare her down a great deal.
Yeah.
And she's always, all my kids are always, they don't usually want to do it until they realize that this is actually a good thing for you. But they're always thankful afterwards.
No, Bailey's done it one time too. I said, we need to go through, like, it's close to birthday, close to Christmas, you're going to get more stuff.
Right, let's get through.
So let's go through, throw away things that are broken.
Missing parts.
Yeah, or things that you just don't really want to play with anymore. And she actually did a really good job. She's usually one that I have to sneak stuff out, but she actually really enjoyed it, and she did really good with actually choosing, and she liked it.
That's good.
So
yeah, and then now if I do it in front of them, I'll say, which ones do you want to keep out? Which ones do you want to? And that helps them. But to me, clutter for everybody. Too much stuff. This kind of goes on the next topic, but I am like, I have like both sides of the coin. Sometimes I create clutter for myself, like my own clutter. And then I'm like, I hate clutter. Right. It's just like my mind gets cluttered from the clutter. But then I look at myself, I'm like, okay, I'm just as cluttered as everybody else in the house. And so I think clutter is a big thing. So because your house does not seem cluttered. Right. So how do you tackle clutter?
Just try not to have it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. And having just the basics and necessity things that you need. Like, obviously, you can have a little bit of extra of stuff, but to me, that's the biggest. Like, just have what you need. Right. And just be basic. I'm not very sentimental with a lot of stuff. Like, I have a box of school stuff from like kindergarten to when I graduated. And it all fits in one box. And but I'll save some of my kids' stuff, but a lot of times they come home from places and maybe I'll have it up for a little bit, but then it goes in the trash.
Right.
Or I keep it for, depending on if I really like it or not.
Right.
And I found these cool things on Amazon that are like photo albums. So I'll keep the favorites of the kids in there, so then it goes on the bookshelf. So that's the area that I guess I collect the most is just books. But like it still looks neat, you know? And it's not like there's books everywhere.
Yeah, you could be Bill.
Yeah. I told John that I was like, I want to get another one and I want to put a ladder on it so I can sing. But I was joking with him. But
you know he would do at least
yes.
once.
Right, yes. But I think just trying not to have like I don't know if I wrote this on any of the other questions, but like I went through, like, whenever we got married, you know, you get gifts from people and you have a million spatulas or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I only need one, you know? Like, for baking, I do like having multiple measuring cups.
Right.
Because sometimes I'll be baking 3 different things, depending on, you know, the season or whatever. So instead of washing it, or, you know, I don't know, it's just, that's the only area I feel like having multiple, like, mixing stuff for baking is the only area that I really like have the most of. Right. But just having really only what you need, not having like 100 of this.
So how do you decide when it comes to like clothes, paper, like not paper products, but like just the little papers that seem to accumulate, toys, house goods, you know, like how do you decide what you need?
Right. So if they're broken, definitely get rid of them because you can't fix them. Right. Because you can always buy a new one. Because to me, I'm like, it's just kind of pointless having something broken. Like, say this is something that probably gets collected in a lot of people's houses is like the little Happy Meal toys. Right. And my kids are happy with it for a little bit, you know? So I'll let them have it for a little bit. But then a lot of times both the girls get the same exact one. Right. And I'll just end up throwing them away. Right. Like, unless it's something they really, really liked, you know? But, like, because that ends up collecting. Just those little things and, like, the little papers from school. Like, Bailey really likes to keep certain things. So I told her, like, this is your spot that you can keep them. But then eventually we'll go through it, too. And I'm like, Bailey, you don't really need this. Like, they're just these little papers and just trash.
So, you know? I'm going to pause on make a pause on that. So, I saw one because we use the Good and the Beautiful. And so, I think this person was either in the preschool level or kinder level. But all those little, like, cutouts and things. They took school, like, the brown sack lunch bags, and they folded them in half. And they made a booklet out of them. And so, they had, like, all those little cutouts and those games and those, you know, all those little things put on this little booklet. And I was like, oh man, I wish I would have seen that earlier. Yeah. And so there's a way to save it. Right. You could be creative. But that might work.
Even just if it was like really her favorite, like she really liked the dragonfly thing, like I'll probably just put that in her, the little photo album thing. Cause it's like an 8x10 and I'll just keep the art pieces in there or something like that she really liked. You know, but I think she eventually knows like it's just trash.
Well, and what's special when you're first grade is,
and I try to say it not rude,
right? And so like I have saved stuff, and I'm like from my younger days, and it's just like okay, no, like I'm more of a saver than you are, right? I grew up with some extremely sentimental. My grandmother and my mother. Yeah, I think each one of us just gets a little bit less. Yeah. And so, so some things are hard for me to get rid of, and then Dad's the same, you know. So we have stuff that we know, like, whenever we do die, we're gonna leave you guys stuff that's like.
I think that seeing that with, like, you know, whenever I worked and saw people have to deal with the deaths of family members and even just close friends, and them having to take on the load of stuff that people leave behind, I just feel like that's a lot. And even whenever somebody passes and say somebody else is in charge
Mm-hmm.
and they're related to you and they ask if you want this, this, and this,
Yeah.
part of you wants to just because you want to remember, but like I feel like just keeping one thing, and to me, photos are the best.
Yeah.
You just have a photo of something, even if like there's some things from my wedding that I didn't keep, and I have photos of them. I said, I'm just not really sentimental. If I have a photo, I have a memory of it.
Right.
And a photo is so much smaller than something, big. And your decor changes over time. So my wedding decorations don't really work with what I have now.
Right.
And if I don't have room for it, like a lot of times that's how I, I guess, decide on whether I'm going to keep it or not.
Right.
Like if somebody wants to give something to me, or if I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
We don't need this. There's not room. Let's get rid of it.
So for me, like for clothes,
mm-hmm.
Obviously if it doesn't fit you and you don't think that you're gonna get into that size again,
right,
just get rid of it.
Right.
But if I haven't worn it, unless it's like a specialty item,
right,
like where we live, we don't really wear heavy coats that much. But I do keep a heavy coat because we do need them sometimes, or you go to the mountains or whatever.
Like snow boots.
Right. So I keep those items.
Yeah.
But they're ones that.
And it's not like you have a bunch of them either.
Right. And so I'll go, like, as far as clothes, if I haven't worn it in a year and a half, so I've let, like, all 4 seasons go by.
Right.
And I haven't worn it.
Right.
Well, I'm probably not going to wear it. And so then I'll just give it to somebody or donate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one thing that we've done for when we moved here, and we've been in this house for a while, so I know I've mentioned moving here is something we just moved here, but my husband and I, we like our kitchen items. And so one thing that I did, because, we all have those like utility utensil drawers.
Right.
And so,
see, and I guess we're one family that doesn't have a junk drawer in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well,
but we don't have a lot of.
Well, like I'm like
drawers.
a ton of utensils, like the spatulas, the flippers, and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, Dad likes to do gourmet stuff, and so you have skewers for this, and this item for this, and this item for that, but they're not your everyday items that you use. And so, one thing I did when we came here was I sorted out. Okay, I use this.
Yes.
I don't need 5 of these.
Yeah.
And then I have a container in the garage. And so that's just for the things that I put them in there. We may not ever use them. And then if we don't, then I get rid of them. And then, but Dad is one of those too, like, he'll remember if I get it. So I usually I try not to get rid of stuff. Even though he feels like I get rid of
I'll ask, or I'll give my explanation too as to why, like,
Right, and I'll do the same. But so that having the extras and not the ones that we don't use that much out of my kitchen space frees up other space, and that way you're not like digging through for the thing that you need.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where it's like, some areas are just like you collect stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, where do we get all this? I didn't buy these. I think they make their way from the garage and then into the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
They don't go back out. And so I'm at the point in those couple of drawers that I need to go through again. Okay. But yeah, so I'm the
same with clothes too, because it's like if it doesn't fit, if it's not comfortable, getting rid of it.
Right.
And I've, thankfully, I guess you could say, I have not really wanted to change sizes too much, but so, like, I mean, I kept my maternity clothes, and I didn't, it's been a while since I've been pregnant, but, like, just because I found the ones that I liked,
Right.
So there's things like that was harder to find.
Right.
And then I don't really have a set time limit as to, like, like a year and a half, like how you said. It's just me. I'll look at it, like, I don't want this in a while.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
And then, like, I will keep some, like, I guess you could say, like, holier pants or clothes or things like that for camping or things like that. So I don't get rid of everything that is broken as in like that or
But I would consider like a specialty item. Not that it's like a specialty, but you use it for a special purpose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I have like pants that have paint on it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And like that's fine, but like for your everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so there have been challenging seasons in your life to stay organized and keep the house clean? And then if so, like, what are those seasons,
Right.
and then how do you overcome those
Mhm.
challenging seasons?
For sure, whenever you have a baby, I think that's probably the most challenging time, because your life is revolved around the baby, and especially in the newborn or the first few months, they need you more than all the other times, and you're nursing more, changing, waking up in the middle of the night, and you're just, you know, you don't have as much time, and then you have your little ones to take care of as well. What has helped is, like, you've helped me clean whenever Natalie was born. Jared helped me clean when Bailey was born. And I've reached out, you know, I paid some of the ladies that clean in church, like, can you just clean the shower in my bathroom? Like, just something like that, like, I've even done it before the baby came. Like, I think I paid Nathan to clean my car, something like that. Just kind of prepping for that time that you're not going to have as much time to clean and stuff. And then during that time. And one lady in church, which I've used this with all of our kids whenever we've had a baby, she always said, like, paper plates and paper cups, like, because you're not going to really want to wash dishes during that time. So I remember just buying, like, a big, you know, a lot of paper plates, a lot of disposable stuff. And obviously we don't use it for every single thing, because you cook, but it's less, so you don't feel overwhelmed cleaning a couple of dishes. So and even during some challenging times, like, that are not just having a baby, paper plates and stuff help during that time too, because it's just one less thing you have to worry about cleaning. And then just asking for help, I think that is always nice, because, and not to be afraid whenever to ask for help. Like, and some people reach out, like, just I don't take their help. If you really need
and that
it.
is hard to do, because I know it is. When I'm pregnant, I'm high risk, and so I can't clean a lot of my stuff. So I do have to have help, and that was, like, humbling for me. And even now, and, like, right now we're at a good point, but there were times when we were just surviving, and so just the priorities: clothes, food, and dishes. And I did hire somebody, a cleaning lady, to come in once a week. And for us, when we got new kids, that was almost like a newborn, because they need you. First of all, you got to watch them, and keep an eye on them all the time. And then when you get a new kid, they do require a lot of your attention, because it's a new house, new family, new everything. So they don't know, you know, and then they come with big problems, and it's not like you can just burp and feed and change those kind of problems away. So you have to stop and sit there and talk to them, help them through whatever, calm some raging tantrums, or, you know. And so 100% paper plates, like, and we ate out a lot. We had a lot of processed food
too. And giving yourself grace, because it's not going to be perfect during that time. Like, like, don't feel bad that you're eating out. And you're not eating a home cooked meal. Like, don't feel bad that you weren't able to make a home cooked meal. And don't feel bad that you're not able to clean or keep on these things. And don't feel bad that you asked for help. And I know some people may not be able to hire people, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that would help. Whether it be friends or somebody from the church or something. I don't know, just...
And sometimes it's even just asking your husband, you know? Like, hey, I need extra...
Or even if you just ask them to take the kids to the park for a couple hours, so you can get the things done that you want to, or you can get a nap.
Exactly.
I remember the same lady that talked about the paper plates. She told me with her third, her husband just took their two oldest and just watched them, and she was able to go to bed early, nurse the baby. And I remember John did that with whenever we had the second. Like, it was just nice to be able to go to bed early and get some extra sleep, and not have to worry about...
Let your body recoup,
not have to worry about taking care of the other kids.
And I know having those, going back to having the routines, for me, it was those established routines that I don't even think about that helped get me through those times.
Because I would make my bed during
just
those
not even
times.
thinking about it. And just doing, and sometimes doing what you know to do helps you get through those hard times, because when we're just sitting in our having a baby is not a bad time. Sickness, having a baby, just life
too,
life, so sometimes we could just wallow in wherever we're at.
Sometimes you're very busy at certain seasons
exactly
too.
And so like I have told a number of women, just have grace on yourself right now. Like right now is not what's supposed to be happening.
And sometimes during those busy seasons too, sometimes we eat out more too.
Right, like holidays.
It's
everybody's
very busy during holidays.
And so you're just not gonna be able to clean like you normally do. Or, when your kids are home for summer, we school all year round, but a lot of people have their kids home for summer. So your house is gonna be messier, your schedule is gonna be fuller. There were times when we had like multiple, I've had 3 or 4 appointments a day.
Right.
You're not gonna get a lot done in that day.
No.
And so I knew, so I try to plan ahead. So if you can plan ahead, meal prep, and then like that way you have meals ready. You have at least even just the cooked vegetables ready or meat
thawed
out.
Even with having babies, I would make a few things ahead and put it in the freezer.
Right.
And not necessarily like a lot. It was even just muffins. Just like having muffins so I could snack on them.
Right.
It's something homemade, and it was healthy too in a way for you.
Right.
So, and I know like even whenever people have a baby, a lot of times people help out with food, but it doesn't last forever. So that, having the grace like after that, if you're still not able to.
And one thing, I know this is not necessarily a cleaning thing, but it does help, is to always have some kind of something fast that you can throw together.
Yes.
It doesn't
even if it's a freezer meal.
Yeah. So what I was saying is having something that you can throw together real fast, a meal. Yes. And again, I know this isn't like housekeeping, keeping your house clean, but if you have to like think about making a big meal, or like have to run to the store, that leaves you less time to clean and more stress on your mind. So I usually have, and sometimes you're like last night I was going to make a recipe. And this is so me. I didn't read through the whole thing. Right. And I was like,
forgot certain ingredients.
No, it was going to take like 4.5 hours to make.
Oh yeah, dang.
So I was like, oh, this is not happening tonight. Yeah. Luckily, I was like food prepping, so I already had another meal. Yeah. It was going to be like for tonight, but we ate it last night. And so tonight I'll just throw one of I usually have some fast meals. Right. Like during revival weeks and things like that. And just try to think ahead as possible, but I know sometimes life just happens and you can't think ahead. And so
I know during that time too, like before a baby or just like a busy season, I feel like we would stock up kind of like on some freezer meals and stuff too. Yeah. Because then John is able to make it too, like like anybody, not anybody, but you know what I mean? It helps out that they can make it while you're
busy with the baby or busy doing whatever. Yeah. So do you have any favorite cleaning products? Any supplies?
Not really. I'm pretty basic. So I have like Windex for the windows. I use a Method bathroom cleaner, which is like an Amazon thing. Because I don't like bleach. I don't like the smell of bleach. It kind of gives me a headache. So I'll use bleach every now and then, and like just really basic stuff like from Walmart. Pledge for dusting and Comet cleaner for the toilet, paper towels, and a rag for dusting.
Right.
And Dawn dish soap for dishes.
Because special stuff that I used when you guys were growing up. I pretty much make my own stuff now. But, and then do you have any favorite organizing items?
So one thing that helped in our room was I got a hat rack or coat rack, and we put our hats on it. And John also has like his ties and belts on there too. And then we also hang our coats up whenever it's wintertime. During the summer, there's no coats on it. Right. So, because he has lots of hats. So that helped instead of like stacking them up on the dresser. Right. Or finding a place for his belts and ties. So that all goes on there. So that, and it looks nice. Right. It doesn't look as like messy as just a stack of hats somewhere. Right. And I use lots of totes for like cleaning supplies, like just like plastic bins and for their art stuff, snacks even.
Right.
I have like little plastic divider organizer things for the snacks. Even these little like plastic bins like this for like their socks and underwear and hair stuff inside their drawers.
Right.
So like, because their top drawer is like that, the hair stuff.
Right.
So I just keep that. So it's not all just mixed in the drawer.
Right.
They're all kind of like separated that way. And I have like one of those little, because I don't have like tons of makeup either, but like it's like one of those like little plastic divider like drawers, and I keep my makeup in that.
Right.
And I guess I like a cordless vacuum and broom and a steam mop. That's basically my other cleaning stuff.
Yeah, you do a lot of containers. For me, I think like I do have some things like in the kids' drawers, and literally some of them are just old boxes that can fit their socks or their whatever. But again, if the kid's not going to use it, then there's no use. I think for our house, the organizational things, again, containers. So for me, I like to, like, if I use it all the time, I like to have it more accessible.
Yeah.
So I do have like a tool caddy, like a utensil caddy on the side of my stove.
Yeah, same.
So I just pull them out.
That's literally where most of our utensils are.
Yeah, and then for my makeup, I tried the little drawer thing, but I like it better when I can see everything.
Right.
So some things for me, I need to see them and they have to be accessible. But I just got these cool little things for my closet. One is just really narrow. It's not shelves. It has a shelf on the top, but it's like a little basket underneath. And so we don't have a wall closet or a pantry, so to say. So, and I tend to like buy extras of stuff. And so for like the vitamins and things like that, they were just piled up in a basket. And I was like, I don't even know what I have.
Yeah.
And so now it's all like lined out, and I like things to be in an order, and things to have their place and be able to like open a drawer or open a cabinet and it's there. And then I love my spice organization. So my drawer, you pull out the spice drawer. We have a crying kid. And so when I asked you if there's anything you wanted to add, you did.
Oh yeah. So it's just kind of like, don't let your kids have free access to everything, because I know some people just let their kids they're able to get everything.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, my kids are, but they have to ask.
Right.
So they have to have permission. Like, don't let your kids just get in the cabinets and get anything.
Right.
Because that adds mess. Like, I guess setting boundaries.
Right.
Then that leaves, less mess.
Right.
So even the Play-Doh and paint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of their craft stuff is put away and they have to ask to play with that. So I won't wake up to just seeing paint everywhere or Play-Doh stuck somewhere.
Right.
Or my pots and pans won't all be all over the place and have to clean them before making something. Right. So I think just like setting boundaries and them having to ask to do something also will keep things clean. Right.
And we're the same way too, like with the kitchen. Whether you have a few kids or a bunch of kids, we have like a time to eat. Yeah. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Yeah. We have a snack time, and the kids can have fruits and vegetables like any time of the day. But then, like you have kids that'll leave their orange peels like all over the table or all over the counter, and so we try to minimize the eating times, simply because then you have another mess to clean up because they don't clean up after themselves. And then so we've told them, if now that they're a little bit older, and the older they get, the more it's like responsibility you can put on them. And so if you're gonna get that out, make sure you put it away. If you guys are not gonna clean up, then but I agree, like just don't have free access. And then two, it teaches them to respect. Sure, the house is theirs, but they can't just come into your room and take whatever. So
like they have, obviously their playroom, they're able to play with anything. their books, they're able to do that. But there's certain things that they gotta ask permission for, or else I'd have, like I said, Play-Doh in the playroom. And then there's an area that they're able to play with the Play-Doh. They just can't play with Play-Doh on the couch or in their bedroom.
Exactly.
It has to be on the kitchen table.
Right.
Painting, it has to be on the kitchen table. So that minimizes too, they know where they're supposed to do things.
Well, if they spill on the table, that's easy to wipe down versus on the couch. That's kind of like a forever stain.
Same with drawing. Most of the time it's just in the kitchen. Every now and then it can be on the coffee table, but it's right next to the couches and somebody might just accidentally.
Oh yeah, we have a marker stain on our couch.
So everything in the kitchen, those certain things, just not letting them have free reign to do anything.
Right.
Helps.
So,
and not saying to micromanage either, but
no,
setting a boundary.
Exactly. And no, your kids are always crafting when I come over, and your kids are always playing, and you have books out. So they have access to your house, but in a controlled manner. Your kids are fine. Your kids are not. They're outside playing. They're in the room playing. Exactly. So there's a balance. So we're just last question, and we're always in on the last questions. This is kind of strange because it has to do with me, but we always end with the same question. What is one thing that you learned from your mom?
So obviously there's probably lots of things, but since we're on the topic of organization, I definitely learned a lot how to keep your house clean, organized from you. I know I've gotten compliments from a couple people saying, just the way I clean. I've learned that from you and Dad too as well. Just, obviously taught different things, but just cleaning right. I stick with whenever I wash the dishes, I wash or I clean the counter and the top of the stove off. Sometimes the microwave and fridge. So just certain things like that. Have always stuck with me. And just how to clean, how to organize. Like that.
And I learned from my mom, so
so
and your girls are gonna
learn too.
So all right, well, thank you for taking the time to sit here, and hopefully we help somebody maybe who's struggling or just needs a little extra, motivation, or and if you're at one of those seasons in life where you are struggling, have grace.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. All right, thank you.